What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got the co-host back once again, Amanda. Another great week of football. Can't wait to talk about these games.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. It's always fun, and we've got an awesome guest on this week, so it's gonna be
Yeah,
good.
Levon Kirkland. Great to have you on, man.
Oh man, it's awesome to be on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're a great linebacker. All those years with the Steelers and with Clemson. I see you got your Tigers swag
I'll
on.
always got to represent the Tigers, especially because I work with the football department now. So I gotta
Nice.
represent. Yes.
That's awesome.
hmm Thank you.
So you still following NFL? You watching these games this season?
Yeah, I watched really the red zone mostly,
Okay.
the first two games, and then I usually watch the Sunday game. I don't really watch Monday Night Football. I never
Mm-hmm.
did. I never really watched Monday night unless it's a game I really want to watch. But for the most part, I don't watch Monday night, and especially we come in a little later on Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
So normally I try to go to bed or just get something to eat and go rest up. But
Okay.
for the rest part, yeah, man, I watch the NFL, but I love the red zone. I love
Yeah.
watching the red zone because you get a you get bits and pieces of games, especially when they're. And I'm sure everybody knows the format of it, but I enjoy watching it that way. Yes.
Nice. That's awesome.
hmm
Well, we're gonna talk about the Week 8 games. We're gonna talk about last night's game first. The Vikings at the Rams. Big game. Most people were picking the Vikings, including me and Amanda, but the Rams shocked or surprised the Vikings 30-20 in LA. Um, and a controversial ending with Byron Young face masking Sam Darnold in the end zone for that safety. I don't know if you saw that, but do you
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
do you think the NFL should make like that stuff reviewable so they get it right?
I don't see why they don't do it because they tend to review everything else, which I think
Yeah,
slows down the game. But I think it's good for the game because yes, you do get it right. I think the game is a little slower, but yeah, with something like that, that's pretty obvious.
yeah.
It's pretty
I'm
obvious,
surprised.
and I mean, he
Yeah,
could have got hurt, man. That was a vicious face mask.
yeah. Amanda,
So
you
Alex,
had to be surprised by that. Yeah.
so
Go
Alex and I
ahead.
messaged back and forth during the games, and on the possession before that, Kyron Williams was running, and it was first and 10 on the 47. And they stopped him by grabbing his face mask, but he was in a crowd of people, so the refs didn't see it. But you can clearly see his head do a full 90-degree turn,
Right.
and they knocked him down with it. And I was like, yo, they just missed a face mask, a pretty bad one, but he was in a group, so they didn't see it. So for me, I mean, it kind of balanced out. Obviously, refs shouldn't be missing obvious calls to balance out a previous call that they missed. But for me, I was like, hey, they just missed a bad one. And I was like, oh, I guess we're just not calling face masks in the fourth quarter today.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
mean, that would have moved him up
face
to
mask
the
was not a rule last night, apparently.
Yeah.
apparently not. They don't
Yeah.
call any. But I mean, that would have moved them up to the 32-yard line, and they would have
hmm
at least had another 3 points. So granted, they got the safety off of missed face mask and all that on the last possession, but they should have had another 3 or 7 points had that other face mask been called. So I think most people miss that one, and they're not as like hawk-eyed and psychotic about football as I am. But I was like, I mean, it kind of balanced out, but nobody wants to hear that when kid is alone in the end zone and somebody rips his head off. Like, you gotta call it.
Yeah, there's no question. You have to make the correct call, and if you do miss that call, man, in some ways you got to be able to make that call up, especially if everybody saw it and the refs don't
Yeah.
see it. I mean, that's
It
kind of a
should be
problem.
reviewable. Like, because
Yes,
Yeah.
they
no
were told
question.
right afterwards. It would have taken 5 seconds to review. Oh shit, we missed it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Well, that's the thing is college seems to do such a better job of getting the calls right. If they see something, they quickly fix it. And the NFL is stuck in their old ways of no, you got to challenge it or. So, um,
Yeah. I just don't. I don't agree with that. I think if it's wrong, if you can do it on the spot, like you said in college, that's the way to do it.
yeah, you want to get the calls right as best as possible. And Levon, the Vikings, they started out 5-0, right? And everyone was
Mhm.
surprised, and Sam Darnold was playing so well. Now they've lost 2 in a row, and on top of that, they lose their left tackle Christian Darrisaw for the season. So a 2-game losing streak and your left tackle. The Vikings are really feeling it right now. Not good.
Yeah, it really is, especially when you have some time off and you can't make that game up or go to a game right away. It's tough. So it's kind of the NFL, though. I mean, you could be
Yeah.
starting off very well, 5-0, riding high. Those coaches do a very good job of scouting and really getting the game plan together of how they're going to stop a team. So a lot of times, being 5-0, it really doesn't mean much.
Mhm.
Right
Hmm.
now, it's all about championship phase. When later on in the season, when you get into playoffs, it's about getting into the playoffs. Being 5-0 right now, it doesn't really matter. But I know what the thing is. People need to talk about things, and we usually fall into, yeah, they're playing so well, so why not? Or okay, this is the first game they lost. Maybe they can make it up next week, but this is a tough league, and
Yeah.
if you're not prepared every week to take it to the max, you may not win.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sure a lot of people kind of lost money on that one.
That's an
Well,
excellent point, Amanda. Me and you talk about this all the time about it doesn't matter if you're playing your best football in the first part of the season. You need to be playing your best football late in the season when it matters in the playoffs, right? And do you
well,
think
and look what
Minnesota can bounce
even the
back
second
here?
half of the season, look what Green Bay did last year. Like the first half
Yeah.
of the season, it was a rebuild year. No Packers fan had any intention of making it to the postseason. Like we're getting to know Jordan Love. We've got the youngest team in football, and then we go on that 6-game streak, and suddenly everyone's like, "Hold up, what is happening over here?"
Yeah,
So
that's how it
I
is. Yes.
I would say the first 7 weeks, I mean, you can make up for it as long as your division, like those divisional games are really important. But this game, what's interesting is Alex and I always talk during the games. I think the game against the Packers, and granted, Minnesota won, but they won by 2 points. Green Bay's kicker missed 7 points, 6 points, 7 points. I can't
Mhm.
remember if he missed an extra point, but he missed two field goals. I
Yeah.
think Green Bay kind of highlighted some of their weaknesses, and Green Bay played missing one of their best defensive players in Jair Alexander. So they almost won had they had a better kicker. So I think they highlighted some of the issues with Minnesota's offense and some of the holes. And then Detroit, who I picked to win last week, they showed how poor their blitz is. So I think Detroit kind of was like, "Hey, this is the game plan. This is how we beat them." And the Rams were like, "All
Yeah.
right, bet we're going to do the same exact thing." And I feel like those weaknesses have been highlighted now. So as long as people have the strength to take advantage of them, Minnesota's either got to fix them or keep losing.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back, and they host the Colts on Sunday Night Football in week 9. So I expect them to get a win there and bounce back, but we'll see. I mean, not great. Um, so let's get into our picks for this week. Let's start out with Ravens Browns. The 5-2 Ravens at the 1-6 Browns. Cleveland loses quarterback Deshaun Watson for the season. So in comes Jameis Winston. Will start this game with who's the backup?
Jameis
Robinson,
Winston.
right? Huh?
You talking about for the Browns?
Yeah.
I
I
thought it
forget
was
his
Jameis
name.
Winston, right?
Yeah, Jameis Winston, and then Robinson is,
Yeah.
Is
is
it?
the is the backup. But
Well,
this is going to be an interesting game. The Ravens come in on a 5-game winning streak. The Browns on a 5-game losing streak. Amanda, I don't see this game being close. The Ravens are hitting on all cylinders. I think they run away with this one.
Absolutely. I mean, Derrick Henry has been absolutely firing on all cylinders. That we've joked for the last couple weeks that the Ravens basically have a Pro Bowl team. There's so much talent packed onto that offense. And granted, we expect the Browns to have a pretty good defense, but I'm just not seeing it this year. There's been so much drama and turmoil on and off the field for that team. And now, like, obviously the Deshaun drama's been decided. Like there's no more discussion about overpaying him and needing to bench him. Like he's just done.
Yeah.
But I don't see them coming back from this. I mean, Jameis is a solid backup, but Dorian Thompson-Robinson is their
Yeah.
third string.
Yeah. Good call.
But
Yeah.
Levon,
it's gonna be
do you
rough.
think Jameis can provide a spark for that Browns offense?
Yeah, I think he can. Will he is the question.
Yeah.
Yes, he can. He has been in the league for a while. He can do some things very well. He's kind of known to being a little error prone. He
Yep.
throws picks, and that's not always good. But if he gets hot, he can give you a shot. But I'm agreeing with you guys on this. I think that the combination of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson may be a little too much. Those guys run the ball very well. Lamar always do an excellent job as far as getting away on his feet. He's really magical in that way. He knows how to get out of trouble. And trust me, to be on defense and you got a guy like Lamar Jackson, it can be tough because he can get that 3rd and 15 where most guys can't.
Hmm.
So I think they're going to present a really difficult problem for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the most yardage runner has put up against the Browns defense this year is 67 yards.
Wow.
Yeah.
And granted, the last time Derrick Henry, obviously he wasn't on the Ravens then, but the last time he played against Cleveland's defense, they held him to 20 yards on 11 carries.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they know how to handle him, and they're good against runners, but I think they're just outgunned here, honestly.
Well,
Well, I
we'll
think
see.
I think on defense there's so much you spend so much energy. And I think
Mhm.
after a while, if your offense is not clicking, if it's not helping you out, it can wear on you. So that's what I'm concerned about as far as the Cleveland Browns are concerned. How long can this defense really last with their offense being so unproductive?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, it could be somewhat competitive for the first half, and then maybe the Ravens pull away in the second half. We all agree on the Ravens there. Amanda, let's go to 1-5 Titans at the 5-1 Lions. Will Levis listed as questionable. Either be Will Levis or Mason Rudolph. I haven't seen for sure either way. I think they're trying to go with Will Levis. L'Jarius Sneed is out for the Titans. For Detroit, you got no Jamison Williams with a suspension, no Aiden Hutchinson, obviously, but you've got a red hot Jared Goff coming in here. Amanda, any chance the Titans can cool off Jared Goff? No, L'Jarius Sneed doesn't help.
No, Snead is one of my favorite defensive players. I was all over him last season. But I feel like the Titans aren't committed to pulling together a winning season this year. I mean, they just let D
Yeah.
Hop go to the Chiefs of all teams. So I just kind of feel like the Titans have kind of thrown in the towel on this season. And Will Levis, not that he's been MVP caliber this season for them or anything, but I think that injury that he's fighting is a big deal for them. And I don't see this going well for the Titans.
Yeah, Levon, I mean, talking about the Lions and the Super Bowl is like doesn't make any sense for most fans, but now we're at the point and this might be their best chance. Jared Goff's been playing so well. Do you think this Lions team can actually go on a Super Bowl run this year?
Yeah, I really do feel that way. Um, I feel that they have really changed their culture around a whole lot. There's a lot more
Mm-hmm.
belief with the Detroit Lions than they ever had before. This is not your older brother, Detroit Lions. Instead of saying, I mean, they've been bad since your father and your older brother.
Mhm.
So for right
Well,
now,
you're
they,
talking to two people from Michigan, so yeah,
yeah. So
definitely
this
older
is
brothers,
not your
fathers, yeah.
yeah. This is not your siblings the Detroit Lions. This is a team that knows how to compete. They really take the identity of their coach.
Hmm.
And I think that those guys just know how to win now. And that, and I tell you, that is always important when you're talking about whether you're talking about college or you're talking about the NFL. Having a team that knows how to win and having a team that's professional enough to rectify their mistakes and always be key on every game they play. That's always good. I just don't think the Titans, especially losing a guy like Hopkins, who's one of your best receivers, whether
Yeah.
he shows up on the stats or not is irrelevant. I think that you lose a guy like that, the morale goes down. And
Yeah.
I think, these guys are professionals. There's no question about it. But I think Detroit, in this case, has a better culture. They know how to bounce back and win, and they're doing it at the present time. I just don't think the Titans really are. And right now, they're not really sure as far as the quarterback is concerned. I just don't see them winning that game.
Yeah, this one could get ugly, Amanda. I think the Lions win this one easily.
Well, it's interesting.
So,
Dan Campbell kind of pleaded with his team. He's like, "Hey, don't fall into this being a trap game. Like, take them
yeah.
seriously. I know
Oh,
they're a
yeah.
1-5 team, but the Titans have scored 40% of their points on the season in the first three possessions of the game. So
Wow.
they're starting games off hot and then falling apart. If they figure out how to maintain that hard hitting that they start each game with, then Detroit could have their hands full. But I like that the coach is making sure that Detroit isn't just thinking that they're gonna walk in there and win automatically.
Yeah.
And they're missing
No.
some big names on the Lions right now. So I'm glad they're still taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
when you're a team like Detroit, you hate these games. I always hated a team that was like 1-5 or not having a great season because in the NFL, you just know that it's not the talent level. It's just whether it's the coaching, it's the energy, and as they get their energy early or throughout the game, then it's a tough out. So you want to
Yeah.
make sure that you take care of this team from the very start. So if Detroit doesn't do that, of course they can lose this game, but I just don't really see it.
Yeah, agree. We all agree on that one. So we're agreeing a lot here so
Yeah.
far. No different picks yet. Let's go to Packers Jags, Amanda. Maybe we'll disagree on this one. Your Packers 5-2 at the 2-5 Jags back home after going 1-1 in London. Green Bay has won 5 of their last 6 games. And Jordan Love, I mean, 15 touchdowns. The cool thing about Jordan Love is you get all the touchdowns, but you get some interceptions in there too.
His name is Jordan Favre. Get it straight, please, sir.
Just a
Um,
gunslinger.
he's definitely got. I mean, last season he had Aaron Rodgers on his shoulder. He's got the ghost of Brett Favre this year. I mean, I don't mind it. I grew up with Favre, so it doesn't bother me. It's definitely interesting though. I mean, so in this past week, Robert Saleh showed up in Green Bay, and he's still getting paid $20,000 a day by the Jets. So he's just hanging out with his best friend, best man in each other's weddings, just hanging out in Green Bay. He's working as a consultant for the offense about the defensive side of the ball. So he's
That's
giving them kind of
interesting.
a defensive insight for how to set up their offensive plays, which I like. I think it's a nice fit. I think this could be a trap game for the Packers. I know we just talked about the Lions avoiding that. The Jags have a taste of what winning is like now. They've got a lot of talent on their team. They just haven't been able to keep it together for 4 quarters. And the Jags had a couple home games in London. And now they're actually home in Jacksonville, so they're probably ready for a little bit more success. And Trevor Lawrence has been hot the past 3 weeks. 74% of his passes have been completions. So I don't know. I'm taking this one seriously, but I do think the Packers should be able to pull it off.
So you're going Green Bay. It's a tough one. Levon, how do you feel about the Jags? They're so talented, but they haven't been able to put it together so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, they've had definitely some bumps in the road,
Hmm.
but I really feel like you guys do. They do have some talent. And for people to think that Trevor Lawrence is a bust is completely just ludicrous.
I agree.
That guy is a talent. This is the reason why he was the #1 pick.
Mhm.
And the Jaguars, they're a team that last year they were kind of doing great, and then they kind of fell off a little bit. I think they may be getting their sea legs back, and I think
Hmm.
that they definitely have a chance to beat the Packers on this one. So I'm going to go with my boy from Clemson, with the Clemson Tigers, Trevor Lawrence, in this game. I'm going to go with the Jags.
Yeah, and then you got that two-headed running back with ETN and Bigsby is pretty good
Yeah.
as well. So, man, I'm tempted to go Jags here.
Oh,
I,
I gave you a little pause, huh?
well, I'm
Well,
the context here, Levon, is that Amanda is up 8 games on me. She's kicking my ass in the picks, so I have to be careful where I go here with my picks. I need to gain some ground.
Yeah, probably. Maybe you just need to choose the games according to the colors you like.
I would probably do better if that was the
You
case.
probably would, yeah.
All right, Amanda, screw it. Let's go Jags. We're going Jags against Green Bay.
so what's funny is normally we'll have like 3 or 4 games picked differently. There's a couple games that I haven't committed to a pick on, but every game that we've both actually made picks on, we're the same team on this week.
Yeah,
Like so
it's
we
a tough
need a
week.
couple. I
Yeah,
might do something dumb and pick the Commanders over the Bears or something further on. So
we got
don't
to
worry,
pick
Alex. I'm
against
getting
our.
comfy with my 8 game lead. I'm gonna be a little,
Yeah, you picked the Patriots last week. I don't know what you were thinking with that one.
you know, I had Carolina winning their 1 win and I didn't go with it, so I figured I'd just see what happens.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I,
Drake May does provide a little bit of a spark there. Maybe the
yeah.
Patriots will get a win this week. Let's go Colts Texans. This is a battle for first place in the AFC South. CJ Stroud looking to bounce back after throwing for just 86 yards against Green Bay. And if the Texans can get a win here at home, they'll sweep the season series against Indy. But the Colts are getting Jonathan Taylor back. Amanda, how do you see this one going? Colts at Texans. I think I'm going to trust the Texans here.
Yeah, I mean, I know Green Bay definitely highlighted some of their issues. Definitely showed some of CJ Stroud's weaknesses.
Hmm.
But I do think the Colts have been like I didn't realize they had 4 wins. Like I don't think they're as good as their record shows.
Yeah.
Uh I feel like they've lucked into a couple wins. And I know the Texans beat the Colts in week 1, but D'Amico Ryans said that that game is like these teams are completely different. And I completely agree with that. I don't think week 1 means anything by the time you get to midseason. Because people are still warming up, they're starting all their starters for the first time. Um, but I do think that Joe Mixon is going to be a nightmare for that Indy defense. I don't think they're going to
Hmm.
have an answer for him. So I have the Texans pulling ahead here, at least 10 points by this one. But
Should be
it'll
a
be
good game
interesting
though.
to see how Jonathan Taylor does against that Texans defense.
Yeah, Levon, D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud have completely turned that franchise around so quickly. It's been fun to watch.
It really has been. And, a lot of times it just really takes a good coach that can not only discuss the X's and O's, but a coach that can really, what I call, move the crowd. And
Hmm.
that's what a head coach is. He has to be a great leader and be able to move the men. And I think that Ryans have done a real good job of doing that. So I see the Texans winning this game. I've seen the Colts play. They're not terrible by any
Hmm.
means. And getting Taylor back really gives them up in the running game. But I see that. I really believe that the Texans will find a way to win.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be a hard fought game, but yeah, I think the Texans find a way to win at home. Um, so we agree on that one. Cardinals at Dolphins. This is a fun game. And real quick, Levon, what do you think? A lot of talk about Tua coming back and after the concussions that he's dealt with, and they're kind of scary because you see him, kind of throwing up the gang signs with the head injury stuff
Yeah.
with his hands. What do you
Mhm.
think? He said he's not going to wear a Guardian cap. How do you see this going? Best wishes for Tua, right? We don't want to see it anymore.
Well, no, you never want to see a player go through that kind of trauma through
Yeah.
his career. And he may not be thinking of his 40-year-old self or 50-year-old self. There's a lot
Hmm.
of life after football is done with. So it is concerning that someone who's had the history of concussions that he has had to go back into the fold that quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a concern, but I can understand maybe where he's coming from as well, because when you're a young player like that, you have a certain mindset and you
Yeah.
feel like you can get it done, that you've been getting it done for since you've been a kid. You know how to fall down and get back up. but I am concerned, just like probably a lot of people. But a lot of times you can't really tell young, successful people how to run their lives or how to live their lives.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that has been a struggle as far as maybe Tua versus himself versus the Miami Dolphins. And you really feel for him. If he gets one good whack, it could be, it could be over with for him.
Yeah.
So from that part, I am a little concerned about it, but this could kind of be a fun game because Murray brings a lot of excitement to the game, no matter how good or bad the Cardinals are.
Hmm.
So I'm looking forward to watching this on Red Zone and
Yeah.
see what happens. I don't really know about this game, though. I don't know who's going to win, who's going to lose, but I'm going to go with the Cardinals on this one.
Yeah,
I
it's
have
a tough game to pick for
I've
sure.
got question marks for my pick. I'm not fully decided yet. I think I'm gonna roll with the Dolphins just because they're getting that boost back on offense. The Cardinals are 29th in defense right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luckily their offense has pulled together. I mean, they had a Monday win against the Chargers that I did not pick them winning, and that was a solid game. So they put
Yeah.
together 4 quarters there, but that was the first time we've seen them play a full 4 quarters in a game. But these teams are interesting. They're the only two teams in the NFL to have multiple wins after being down at some point in the fourth quarter. So we got two comeback teams, solid offenses this week. Tyreek Hill said, "No, the band's back together. Y'all should start me in fantasy this week." So
Mhm.
Tyreek Hill is talking shit and he's ready to go. So I expect a high scoring kind of a shootout coming down to the wire at the end of the game. I think I'm gonna roll with the Tua comeback game and stick with the Dolphins, but it could honestly go either way, just depending on which version of these teams shows up.
Yeah, the Cardinals are very hard to predict. They're up and down, and but Kyler Murray, like you said, always provides a spark, and Tua is going to provide a spark for this offense, who hasn't been able to do anything without him in the lineup. So getting him back is huge, but also we have to remember that Tua didn't exactly put up 70 points a game the first 2 weeks of the season. They lost to the Titans. They could have lost to the Jags. So this is going to be an interesting game. I agree with you. I'm going to ride with the Dolphins, but this is a tough game to pick, and I think it's going to be a fun game. Most importantly, we just want to see Tua stay healthy and have no issues here. Also, the Dolphins are without defensive tackle Zach Seiler, so that's a big loss as well. But me and Amanda will go Dolphins at home. Let's go 2-5 Jets at the 1-6 Patriots. Um, Levon, the Jets are so much drama and so fun to pay attention to this team with Aaron Rodgers. They trade for Devontae Adams. They should have, in my opinion, they should never have fired Robert Saleh so early into the season. What are your thoughts about all the drama going on with the Jets?
Well, you never want to be in a situation where your coach is gone in this season. That's always tough to rebound from. And
Hmm.
it's not surprising that Aaron Rodgers is causing, a stir with the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers has been doing that for the last few years, although he is brilliant as a quarterback. And I can
Hmm.
understand why you take that chance. And I can understand when a player like that, he may have a lot more control than you think.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't like Solace and say like, "Hey man, we got to get rid of this guy." And they put so much an investment in Aaron Rodgers that they don't want to look foolish. So they say like, "Okay, well, it's the head coach. We're gonna make him the scapegoat instead of the
Yeah.
GOAT goat." So yeah, but the Patriots, man, their own coach is calling them soft,
Yeah.
and that's a challenge. I think that the Patriots are going to come out and be ready for this game. I'm
Yeah.
not basing this on any other factor, but when somebody calls you soft and you are a professional football player, man, you gotta come out that game and be ready to dominate, be ready to prove your own head coach wrong. So you know what? I'm gonna go with the Patriots on this one. And that's the only factor that I'm going for. I mean, it's like picking the color of your team to win the game. So I'm gonna say, hey man, the guys are gonna be renewed, they're gonna be more motivated, and they're gonna come out and play hard.
Yeah. What do you think, Amanda? Those comments are that's got to get a rise out of that defense.
Yeah, my issue is their coach is talking shit about them. I don't know if I'm gonna play my heart out when the coach clearly doesn't believe in me. I'd rather have a Dan Campbell kind of coach who's in there like giving world-renowned speeches. Like I would go to war for Dan Campbell after one of those speeches.
Yeah.
His locker room speeches are insane. But like having your coach talk shit about you, that's like your mom calling you like a piece of garbage. Cool, I guess I'm a piece of fucking garbage then.
No, yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, but I think it's a professional, man. It's gotta be you gotta challenge guys sometimes.
Yeah.
You really
Yeah.
do, especially if they're not playing up to the caliber. Sometimes you gotta call them out. You gotta let them
Mhm.
know
The
that they
different
are
coaching styles are
professionals.
so interesting because like
Yeah.
Antonio Pierce will do the same thing. He'll be like, "Oh no, they suck today. Like we got to throw touchdowns. We're not throwing touchdowns." Like, okay, damn.
Yeah.
No, but also I see it this way too. The Dan Campbell formula works.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It works. Sometimes you can get a spark, but it doesn't mean you're going to continue that way through the season. You're kind of what you are in a lot of ways. So Mayo probably needs to look at himself as a coach if his
Mhm.
players are not responding.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
could easily say, well, maybe if leadership is a reflection of anything, maybe you're a little soft.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
So
agree.
That's exactly what John Abraham was saying on here. Yeah.
yeah,
He's like, if
so
your
I
team
mean,
is
like
soft and
sometimes,
you're in charge of them,
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's something that maybe you're not doing as a coach as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think this kind of, I mean, like, I'm just saying that players sometimes they do get motivated and they come out and play. How long that will last, you
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. So I'm just maybe giving the Patriots a little hope, being a little
Yeah.
optimistic,
that's fair.
but
I
Yeah.
mean,
but
between
I
the two
don't know it's
teams, we've
gonna.
got 3 wins,
Yeah,
so it could go either way.
I think
My
if
decide.
you
Oh,
I
go
think
ahead.
if you're male, I think you have to worry about losing the locker room. You don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
My
it's a tough
deciding.
one.
Alex, go ahead.
This is a tough one. I'm gonna go. I mean, it's in New England too. I'm gonna go Jets just because I hate to say it, but the Jets are my preseason Super Bowl pick. So I gotta ride with my Jets and hope they turn this around. But it's tough, and yeah, I think the defense will be playing better for New England. So Aaron Rodgers better be ready to go. Devontae Adams, Brees Hall, and those guys. What do you think,
Well,
Amanda? Who are you picking here?
I'm picking the Jets. My deciding factor here is Hassan Reddick coming back from that holdout.
Yeah, that's big. Yep.
It seems like each week the Jets are introducing a new big name player who's playing for the first time this season. So I love him. I think he's going to be a nice little boost to the team. Devontae Adams coming in last week didn't provide much because their defense fell apart in that game. And Brees Hall's really been stepping up, 18 or more touches in the past 2 games. So we see him kind of improving week to week as well.
Yep.
And the Pats defense is not great versus the running game. So I'm gonna roll with the Jets here, but I really could see this one going either way as well, just depending on what version of the Pats show up.
All right, let's go. Let's speed it up here a little bit. Let's go Falcons, Bucks. Both teams 4-3, a battle for the lead in the NFC South. No Mike Evans or Chris Godwin for Tampa Bay. Kirk Cousins and the Falcons are looking for the sweep, and Cousins threw for 500 on them last time. But Amanda, no Antoine Winfield Jr. in that game. I think he's a big addition to that defense. I know there's no Chris Godwin. I know there's no Mike Evans. I think you have in your picks, you have me taking Atlanta. I'm switching up. I'm going Tampa Bay at home here. Are you going to go with Atlanta, Amanda?
I'm so on the fence with this one. Baker Mayfield is such a wild card week to week.
Yeah.
I mean, they would need a near perfect ground game exhibit in this game for
Yeah,
them
they
to
need
win.
Rashad White and Bucky Irving for sure.
Yeah, we need them to step up. I mean, the Falcons have an awful pass rush, but it, I don't know how much passing is going to be happening on the Buck side with their 2 top receivers down. I mean, they do have some younger players who have stepped in, but inside linebackers for the Falcons are both down. Landman and Troy Anderson are both out for the game. So
No.
it's a very injury deciding game here. I would love to hear Levon's take on this one because I haven't made my pick yet. I don't know.
Wow. Like I said, I'm not really the expert as
Yeah.
far as picking games are concerned. There's a lot of inside information that I don't know about.
Yeah.
But I look at the injuries with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I wonder if that could be a factor or not. When
Yeah.
you have your two top weapons that are out of the game, that could be a factor. And what you guys also said about the defense and who they're missing, especially Whitfield. I think the Falcons may have a better chance of pulling this one off than the Bucks. But you never know in these situations. But if I had to bet the farm, I might just go with the Falcons.
Okay. Yeah, the NFC South is always so unpredictable. Amanda, go pick Falcons. You know you want to.
I mean, the last time, when was the last time they swept the division?
Okay. It's so tough to sweep in that division.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know who I trust more. I mean, so they won three games ago on the third of this month. They had to take it into overtime to win, and the Bucks were
Yep.
at full strength then.
Yes.
But then since
Well,
then, the
without
Bucks have
no
put up,
Antoine though.
yeah, but since then the Bucks have put up 92 points over 2 games.
Yeah.
No, 82 points, sorry. But I don't know. You know, I love my Buccaneers.
Yeah, I know. You love Baker.
I love Baker.
All
Can I come back to this one? I'm still, yeah, I don't know.
right, we'll come back to that one.
I don't want to pick against Baker, but I also don't know about Kate Otten stepping in and filling the gaps there.
Let's
All
go
right. I'm gonna pick
Eagles.
the Falcons. Fuck it. Falcons.
All right, I like it. 4-2 Eagles at the 3-4 Bengals. Another great game here. The Eagles are 3-0 when AJ Brown plays, and he'll be playing in this one. Both teams on a 2-game winning streak. Dallas Goedert is out for the Eagles. I'm riding with the Bengals at home. How do you see this one, Amanda?
I mean, that Eagles defense was gnarly last week. 8
Yeah.
sacks. And I don't really like the Bengals front line right now. I feel like they've let some pretty big hits through. Um, I think I gotta pick the Eagles here. I know that the Bengals have been pulling it together. They've been starting to improve and fix some of those issues we saw early in the season. Saquon Barkley is just behind Derrick Henry in rushing stats for the season. Um, and I mean, Cincinnati's offense has had a couple of tough weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna pick. Fuck it, I'll just pick against you here because we know who you're picking.
So you're gonna take the Eagles?
Yeah,
T. Higgins is a late add to the injury report, so he might not play. That's a big loss, Levon, for Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's a huge loss because what he does is give them a two-headed monster on the outside. And so when you miss that, now for a defense, you can adjust a little better. I always feel like Cincinnati is just, I just think that Barrow, depending on the way he plays, kind of how Cincinnati goes. But
Yep.
I see your point. I think maybe the Eagles. I think maybe now the Eagles seem to have fixed some of the problems they had on defense, and I see them winning this game.
Okay. So you're both going Eagles. I'm on the island here with the Bengals, but in Joe Burrow we trust. So, but that's gonna be a great game. 2-5 Saints at the 3-3 Chargers. Another uh, no, I think the Chargers win this one big. The Saints are getting Chris Olave and Taysom Hill back, but they're starting rookie quarterback Spencer Rattler again, who I don't have much trust in. The Chargers coming off a bad loss to the Cardinals. Give me the Chargers big at home, Amanda.
yeah. I mean, the Saints are getting healthy. Carr is the only major name who's still fighting an injury on that team. Everybody else is coming back in. Lucas Patrick is back. Ruiz is back in practice. Pete
Yeah.
Werner is back. So they're getting healthy, but even healthy, this team hasn't impressed me so far this season. But I gotta roll with the Chargers here. They've got a couple gnarly losses to make up for. And the Saints losing their games by 20 or more the last 2 weeks, I'm not
Yeah.
impressed.
Levon, what are your thoughts on Spencer Rattler? He's starting for the Saints. Do you think that he can be an NFL starting quarterback? I have some questions about that.
I think he's streaky at best. I
Yeah,
think he's a reserve quarterback that needs a little bit more development. I think he's a guy that could probably use a little bit more patience as he goes through his progression. And a guy like that needs for everybody else to be good.
yep,
And they're not really at this point where they're good as a team and they can carry a quarterback like him. Instead, they seem to want him to carry the team, and he's just not ready for that.
yeah,
So
agreed.
I think he's a quarterback that he has to develop a little more. And I know you're saying, well, he's a rookie quarterback, of course, but you guys got him as your starter. I don't
Yeah,
know if he's quite ready for the stardom yet,
yeah.
but you know what? I don't run that team. I'm not the coach, so I don't know. But in my opinion, he's not quite ready yet, and the guys around him has to play a little bit better than what they've been playing.
Mhm.
Yeah, agreed. Jake
Yeah, this
Hayner looked a little bit better the last game, so I don't. They're sticking with Rattler though.
Yeah. I mean, this defense concerns me for them. Like they got to do what they got to do at quarterback, but they're dead last in total yards allowed, second to last on rushing yards allowed. Like what are we doing? So regardless of who's starting at quarterback, if you're letting the other opposing teams put up 40 points on you, there's not a lot you can do against
Not
that.
great. And isn't Dennis Allen a defensive coach? So
Yeah.
not great. This one should be easy. The Bills at the Seahawks. You would think, I mean, if DK Metcalf was playing, I'm going Seattle, but it looks like he's not going to play. So I think I got to go Bills in Seattle, though. Amanda?
That Seattle home crowd is feisty.
Yeah,
It's tough to win there on the road. And scoring points on the road hasn't been a strong suit for the Bills this season. They're averaging 21 points on their 4 away games, 2-2 in those games. So the Bills have not been great on the road. So maybe they'll come back and fix this against, Seattle's defense is allowing opposing teams to put up 23.5 points per game. So Amari Cooper has, settled in, so I expect to see a big game from him in his second week. He had a touchdown in his first week, so I expect a little more production this week. I
yeah,
don't know. I mean, Seattle made a trade for Ernest Jones this week.
yeah.
They wanted to bulk up their linebacker
But they
crew.
sent a linebacker over to him, too. So,
Yeah, but not a very productive one. He hasn't been
yeah,
doing much, so maybe
yeah,
Jones will be a better fit.
yeah.
Um, uh,
We know
Bill,
you're going with the Bills. You love Josh Allen.
but Seattle at home is a fucking tough ask for anyone. Like,
Yeah. Levon, Josh Allen, he's had some interception issues in the past in his career. This season, to this point, 0 interceptions. He's done a great job cleaning that up.
Yeah, I think that anytime you have a quarterback of the caliber of Josh Allen,
Mm-hmm.
you can find a way to win. They're a very well coached team. Sean McDermott has done a pretty good job of this team. Seattle, just like Amanda said, at home they're tough.
Yeah,
They really are. And you think traveling that far will be a little bit concerning for the Buffalo Bills,
that's
but
true.
I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I just think that Allen is really too good, and he's playing very well now, not really making a lot of mistakes. So I'm going to go with him.
Yeah, I'm a big Keon Coleman fan on this show, too. So we
Right.
expect the Bills to do work in Seattle. Bears at Commanders, Amanda. We were so excited about Caleb Williams against Jaden Daniels, but it's looking like Jaden Daniels isn't going to play. They're holding out hope. I guess he did practice today, but all signs are pointing to Marcus Mariota starting here. I was leaning Commanders if Jaden Daniels plays, but with him
yeah.
unlikely to play, I got Caleb Williams and the Bears, and Caleb has been getting better and better each week.
Yeah, I mean, I like the story of Montez Sweat versus his old team, and then like some of
Yeah,
the Chicago injuries. If Jaden Daniels was starting for sure and fully healthy, I would probably be picking the Commanders here. Kyler Gordon is out. We've got their safety Brisker out this week.
Brisker.
So I have a list of reasons for why I would pick against the Bears, but Marcus Mariota is going to negate all of that if he plays. Um, So, I mean, that Bears defense is firing on all cylinders right now. They've allowed 21 points or fewer in 12 straight games.
Yep.
And we know Washington has had an amazing offense this year. but with Jaden Daniels playing. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty disappointed that we don't get to see that. So yeah, I'm gonna pick the Bears here, and if Jaden Daniels starts, I'm gonna hold on to
Oh,
maybe
we need
switching my
to
pick,
switch.
maybe.
Yeah,
But it kind of depends, because I don't want Mariota against the Bears defense.
we all want to
That
see
doesn't
Daniels
excite
against
me.
Caleb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Levon, how do you feel about Caleb Williams? How he's done so far in the NFL?
I think not bad for a rookie quarterback
Yeah.
with all the pressure that he has on himself to really get the Chicago Bears going. He's doing a solid job.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and they do basically their defense is pretty good. They are.
Mm-hmm.
And so if Caleb could be consistently good, I think the Bears have a chance. And I see the Bears in this game. I think missing Daniels may be a little bit too much for
Yeah.
the Commanders this week. Although Mariota has been in the league before, he knows. I mean, he's won some games before, but there's a reason why he's your number two guy.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if you're the Commanders, you can get by with him for at least 3 or 4 games. But I think the Bears present too much defense for them, and I'm going to pick the Bears on this one.
Nice. Good pick. So we all agree Bears in DC against the Commanders. 1-6 Panthers at the 4-3 Broncos. We don't need to spend much time on this. Bryce Young back starting with Andy Dalton out. But Bryce Young against that dominant Denver defense. Wide receivers Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen are out for Carolina. I don't think this game is going to be close. I got Denver big, Amanda.
Same. But also, how weird is it that a quarterback sprains their thumb in a car accident instead of
Yeah,
on the
that's so
field? Like, of
weird.
all the time, like, do you know how much action that thumb sees on the field in practice? Nope, car accident. Like, that shit's wild. But yeah, the Panthers are trying to avoid a back-to-back 1-7 start. Like, I can't pick them. Like, there's no way. As much as Bo Nix has disappointed me both times I've picked him this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way I'm picking Carolina.
Levon, is there any hope for this Panthers team? I mean, Bryce Young is struggling. He's getting benched. They're such a bad team right now.
Well, yeah, they're a bad run team. There's no question about this. They're not very good at all. I'm going to pick the Broncos on this, although I do wish Bryce Young the best. I think
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think he's not a qualified quarterback to lead a team that's so dysfunctional
Yeah.
and not really. I mean, if you put him on another team, maybe he does a little bit better. I think he has the talent, but when you put a guy like that who's, with his size, things like that, some of his shortcomings, it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. And then especially when you were the starting quarterback, now you're the backup quarterback, can you go back in there and earn the trust of the other players, especially when some of your weapons are not going to be there.
Yes.
So I'm not saying there's never hope because there's always hope, but I really doubt it. I think the Broncos are going to run away with this game.
Yeah. We all agree on that one. 6-0 Chiefs at the 2-5 Raiders. Gardner Minshew will start, but Amanda, did you see the Raiders sign Desmond Ritter? So there's a chance he
See
could get
that.
in there. Yeah.
Their quarterback room is so interesting. Like, they've got Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ritter, and Carter Bradley. Like,
And Aiden O'Connell hurt. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's on IR now, so it's just the most random quarterback room. I think this is unfair to everybody else in the Chiefs division that the Chiefs get to play them. They're already 6-0. Like, this just seems like, come on, man, really? And we have seen some sparks of life out of this Raiders team. But I don't think the Raiders can pull together a win here. I know
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is having an off season. He's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. He's 8-6 on
It's
the
crazy.
season. But the Chiefs find ways to win in every game, and I don't think they'll have to look very hard for a way to win this one.
You know me, I look for reasons to pick against the Chiefs, but I can't in this one. And Levon, the rich get richer. The Chiefs are 6-0, and they trade for DeAndre Hopkins. How is that fair?
It really isn't there at all.
Yeah. The Chiefs
But
and the Ravens. Come on. Like what?
that's just kind of what happens in life. I mean, the good organizations find a way. The bad organizations, they find a way to lose. And
Yep.
if your quarterback room is a mess, most likely your team is also a mess. So this should be easy. I know they're divisional foes. I know that when you play someone in your division, no matter how bad they are, they know you very well.
Yep.
So this game could go. This game could be maybe even close. I can see that in the first half, but I just think that the Chiefs have too much of a championship pedigree to lose to the Raiders. So I'm going to
Yes.
pick the Chiefs on this one.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
that dominant defense. Yep.
yeah, and what you said about knowing each other in the division, I mean, Max Crosby has Patrick Mahomes' number, 36 quarterback pressures in his career against Mahomes, the most
Yeah.
by any opposing defender versus Patrick Mahomes. So, he's got his number, but I just don't know if the rest of the team can do enough to stop the Chiefs here.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Patrick Mahomes over Gardner Minshew in this one. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Sunday night football, Cowboys at Niners. This is 90s rivalry right here. Great game. George Kittle expected to play. They're hoping Debo Samuel can go, but they'll be without Brandon Ayuk and Jawan Jennings. Micah Parsons and Deron Bland are out for the Cowboys. Niners at home. Both teams are struggling. The Niners are more desperate, in my opinion. They need this win just to get back to 500. Give me the Niners at home, Amanda.
Absolutely. I mean, the Cowboys are probably like they had a bye week to get over it, but their last game was a 38-point loss to Detroit.
Yeah.
So they haven't had a good win since then to shake that off and get rid of the ghost. I mean, their last trip to the 49ers stadium was 42-10. They got their butts kicked. So I feel like their ghosts are gonna haunt them here. Dak Prescott has a QBR of 41.6 versus their last three matchups. So that defense
Wow.
has Dak's number. And the Cowboys have had a tough season. I mean, I know they're at a 500 record, but they've been outscored by 42 points. So they
Yeah.
scrape together a win and then they get their butts kicked. And I feel like this is going to be another blowout versus the Cowboys.
Levon, the Cowboys aren't the same without Micah Parsons. That's a huge loss.
Yeah, well, they're just not a very good defensive team in an offensive league.
Yeah.
When you're giving up 40 points a game in the NFL, there is a lot of trouble. Either the guys don't buy in or they're just not doing their job to give up that many points. The 49ers probably not playing up to expectation, but it's still pretty early in the season. I
Yep.
see that this is going to be a game that the 49ers are going to win because they're going to keep that defense just bewildered the whole game. They're just gonna line up and they're just gonna smash mouth them all game long. And I don't think Dallas really have any answers on defense. Those guys are just playing very poorly.
Yeah.
And as a former defensive player, I would be embarrassed to be giving up that many points.
Yeah, and that's
I would be.
surprising with Mike Zimmer coaching that defense. It's
Uh,
surprising, but
I was just
yeah,
going to ask,
but
as a former
sometimes
linebacker, what do you think the issue is?
Oh, I think the issue is a combination of everything. Either Mike Zimmerman is not getting across to the guys, or the guys are just not taking ownership of the defense.
mm-hmm.
And when that happens, it's disaster because you got half of the guys that are probably trying to do the right things and play accordingly, and then you got the other guys who are probably not doing their job. And when you have that, your defense is a mess. There's probably some technique errors that are going on. It's just a whole miscommunication between the coaches and the players. And
Mm-hmm.
until you get that fixed, you're going to see more 40-point games on you. And people
Yeah.
are going to really exploit you. So I know that I think Dallas at this point, they're in trouble
Yeah.
because their defense the defense can't really stop anybody. And there's nothing worse than when your defense doesn't give you a chance to win the game. So I'm going to pick the 49ers with this one.
Yep, we all agree. And then let's go to Monday Night Football. The 2-5 Giants at the 5-2 Steelers. Levon, as a former longtime Steeler, you have to be excited. The Steelers out to a chance to get to 6-2, and it was kind of a controversial move going from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson, but he really provided a spark offensively last week with those touch balls, throwing it up, letting George Pickens win one-on-one.
Yeah, it's always funny to me when people are doubting Tomlin as a coach.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
guy, there's a reason why his teams really never go under 500. But with the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're always expecting Super Bowls, and they
yeah.
haven't been on that level just yet. And I really believe that the offense have not really been clicking. I think the defense have always been pretty good, or at least a winning. They're a winning defense, and I think now the defense really seemed to be put together, have the right pieces there, and you get a veteran like Russell Wilson going, and some of the pieces that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have, I think they're a tough team to beat. And they got
Mm-hmm.
a good coach and they got a great organization. So in this game, I think the Giants are still a mess. They're too up and down. They're average team. They got some good pieces, of course, but they're not a consistent winner.
Yeah.
And I see the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it has nothing to do with my affiliation with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just think that Pittsburgh is playing a lot better right now. I think being on a big stage is always important. In levels, the stage to play that big audience that they're going to be playing for, and I just think the Giants are inconsistent to with the Giants on this one. So I'm going to.
Yeah, I agree. And Amanda, this is a great opportunity for Russell Wilson to really rebound his career a bit. Get out to a 6-2 start. Who knows? Maybe you can steal the division, at least get into the playoffs. And we've seen Russell Wilson do magic in the playoffs before, and they got a great defense behind him.
My only concern in this game is the Jets are on their fifth combination for their O-line. They played really well last week versus the Jets. So they pulled off that win there. But the Giants lead the league with 31 sacks. So if that O-line holds, it'll be good for them. What's funny is I don't know if you've paid attention to Daniel Jones' stats at home versus on the road this season. All 6 of his passing touchdowns are on the road. All 4 of his
Wow.
interceptions are at home. So this being a road game is actually an advantage for the Giants. So that's weird. But I do think that Dexter Lawrence might be a bit of a problem for the Steelers. Mike Tomlin agrees with me on that. He leads all passing rushers or pass rushers with 9 sacks this season. And Wilson had an easy game last week. He was sacked only 1 time. So I think if they go after him, Russ does not take hits well. When he gets shaken up in a game, the past couple seasons, he doesn't seem to bounce back as quickly. And the Giants are looking to come back from that embarrassing loss to the Eagles. I mean, 119 total yards. It's their fewest in a game since 1999. So the Giants are going to look at this as a bounce back game. They're going to go after Russell Wilson, and Daniel Jones is better on the road. So I could see this being an upset. That being said, I'm going to ride with the Steelers, but I can't pick Daniel Jones because I'm forever a Daniel Jones hater, but I could see it being one of those like, oh shit, okay, I guess they came to play tonight.
Well, Dexter Lawrence does lead the NFL in sacks. The Giants do have some pass rushers, but, Najee Harris looked a lot better last week, and Russell Wilson provided a spark to that offense. And I'm going to roll with the Steelers at home, right? It's in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said it's a benefit for the Giants because Daniel Jones can't play at home this year. So.
Yeah, and we'll see if Daniel Jones gets benched again. He got benched, last week in favor of
Such a
Drew
mess.
Lock. So it's going to be a tough game. But, Levon, we appreciate you taking the time. We're all riding with the Steelers at home. It's going to be a great week of football. Can't wait for week 8. And we really thank you for coming on the show and giving us some of your great insight.
Anytime you need me, let me know. I'm
Yeah,
sorry about the mix up this earlier today, but
no
yeah,
worries.
it was great. You guys really have a good bit of knowledge, man. You guys know what you're talking about. But
Thanks. Means
the
a lot.
NFL is so, you just never know. You never
Yeah.
know. You can have all the information in the world and the team doesn't show up. But hopefully we get our picks right and we do a good job. But thank you guys again for allowing me to be on your show. I really appreciate it.
Well, we
Yeah,
love your
absolutely.
insight. So we appreciate you taking the time. And I mean, having a linebacker on and talking about some of these defenses that are just falling apart is a really nice perspective. So we appreciate you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one of the
no
best
problem. Thank
linebackers.
you.
Yeah, and best of luck to your Clemson Tigers and have a great weekend, Levon.
Well, we're going to win this game because it's a bye. But but
Oh,
our
perfect.
but our boys have been playing pretty well. Hopefully, we can continue the trend.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate the support, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode and have a great week, guys. Peace out.